Before the start of the next week, I want to talk about, in fact, I want to use every Sunday evening to kind of, inspire change in all of our lives before the start of the next week. I would like for us to plan and set our intentions for next week when it comes to our health. Every single day, we see different kinds of cases. We see people who are terminally ill. We see people with cancer, stage 1, stage 0, stage 4. We see people highly diabetic. We see people with chronic kidney failure, cardiovascular problems, depression, whatever it is. All of these patients have a couple of things in common. They need to improve the foundations of their bodies. What do I mean by the foundations of your body? We can make health very complicated right now. We can talk about longevity supplements. We can talk about home remedies. We can talk about recipes. We can talk about nutraceuticals. We can talk about new drugs in the market. All of that is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But first, are the fundamentals of the human body and the human mind working the right way? If it is, great. Everything else makes sense. If it isn't, all of that is not going to work unless you get the foundations right. If your sleep deprivation is creating your health problems, nutrition can't fix that. More medicine can't fix that. More supplements, more herbs can't fix that. But sleep can fix that. By you fixing your sleep, you can solve the problems that sleep deprivation caused. It's the same thing with food. If you're eating the wrong food and it's causing certain problems, certain hormonal imbalances in your body, exercise can't solve that problem. More drugs can't solve that problem. More supplements can't solve that problem. But changing the way you eat will start to eradicate some of those problems and heal you. It's the same thing with your emotional stress. Stress isn't a bad thing. Everyone's stressed out. Children are stressed out. Senior citizens are stressed out. Everyone has some stress. It's not the stress that makes it bad and dangerous. It's the way each of us perceive that stress, hold on to it, become victims to it, become slaves to it. Some people are really good at learning to accept and learning to let go. Some people are not. It doesn't make one better than the other, but it just gives us the ability to understand more about ourselves and what we should do. Every stressful situation in life has a solution. But in the front of every solution is our fears, our insecurities, the lack of courage, the lack of strength, and all of that. We're going to talk about fear today. But the point is, if I have emotional stress, nothing else can fix it except the tools and techniques which I must now learn to overcome my attachment to that particular stress. So the foundations I'm talking about become our challenge for the next week, starting tomorrow. We're going to look at nutrition in a very simple way. How many times next week are you planning to eat out? Write it down. Can you get 2 meals out of 3 meals right if you eat 3 meals? Can you start to build a 12-hour fast, minimum fast? Of course, if you're on medication and you're not supposed to fast, that's your disclaimer for you. Can I do these little things next week? Can I eat a little slower? Can I serve myself a little less so I'm not overeating? Can I say today, right up till Friday evening, I'm not going to have sugar. I'm not going to have junk food or anything that comes in a packet. I'm not going to have fast food. It's just Sunday night to Friday. That should be easy. Small little things. You can't do it till Friday, do it till Wednesday. That's all. I'm not going to talk about exotic foods and exotic fruits and all of that stuff. No. I'm just asking us to set an intention to eat what nature gives us through the next couple of days. Look at your plate. Is that food natural or does it come from a box? Are you overeating that food? How does it make you feel? Let's set an intention right now to be mindful about what we feed ourselves. We don't need extremes. We don't need fads. We don't need trends. We just need a little bit of mindfulness and consistency and set the intention that, hey, from today right up till next week, all I'm going to do is be mindful. Look at my plate. Can I add a little more color? Can I reduce the carbohydrates if I'm eating too much? Do I have protein at every meal? Do I have the right fats or the wrong fats? Just these little things. Just these little things is the intention we set for nutrition. Now let's talk about our workouts. Let's not even call it exercise. Let's set an intention for movement starting from tomorrow. Whether it's a walk, whether it's strength training, yoga, Pilates, dance, a swim, a hike in the mountain, mix it all up. The human body needs flexibility, it needs mobility, it needs strength, it needs stamina, it needs endurance. Now you figure out the movements or the exercises that you enjoy that gives you all of these things. And just allocate 30 minutes. That's it. 30 minutes from tomorrow, right up till Friday. Set an intention, write down. No matter what, you will find that 30 minutes. You don't have time for 30 minutes, do 15 minutes, but something is better than nothing. I want you to write it down. Plan your week. Same way you plan your holidays, you plan your gifting list, you plan where you're going to socialize. It takes you less than 5 minutes to write down what your workout plan is going to be for the next 6 days. Now sleep. Enjoy your Friday, enjoy your Saturday. But from tonight, can you set a fixed bedtime? If it's 9, get into bed at 9 right up till Friday. If it's 10, 10:30, whatever it is. But set that time, and no matter what. Netflix, Prime, OTT, doesn't matter. Watch it. But when it's your bedtime, can you be disciplined to get into bed at that time? So I'm not asking you to get into bed at 8:30 or 9. If it's 11, it's 11. But I want you to build a circadian rhythm of healthy bedtimes and wake-up times. Can you try to wake up before the sun rises? Just these little things. Set an intention. Maybe wake up with the sunrise. So for that, you may have to sleep a little earlier. But can you set an intention to do that? Because I can't tell you how many health problems will start to get better by just fixing sleep. Of course, sleep is not it's not going to replace your chemotherapy, your radiation, your diabetic drugs, but it is going to make your immune system smarter, stronger, bring down inflammation, balance your hormones, allow the intelligence of your body to kick in along with your other medications for your healing. Something as simple as that. But when you're disorganized, you're going to have different times of sleep every single day. So set an intention. Now, when it comes to emotional wellness, what can we work on? Let's set an intention for 5, if not 5, 10 minutes. That's it. In the morning or before you go to bed. A lot of people love doing it twice. 10 minutes of silence in the morning. You can pray, you can meditate, you can deep breathe. Just 10 minutes. It's going to pass like this. Miss it in the morning, do it before you go to bed. Want to do it in the morning and before you go to bed? Hey, that's a small win that's going to compound into something bigger and bigger. Now let's talk about fear. I want you to set your intentions for next week. That's the challenge. We're not looking at 30 push-ups, 40 push-ups. We're not looking at any of that. I'm looking at getting the foundations right for all of us. Because if you have the foundations right, even our most complicated diseases in those patients start to get better. Let's say you have 100 patients with the same disease getting the same treatment, 100 different outcomes, but it's the same drug. It's the same disease. Why 100 different outcomes? Because you have 100 different ways that these people are living their life. Some of them have poor lifestyles, some of them have very poor lifestyles, some of them are sleep deprived, some of them are eating well but not moving enough. So I want you to set that intention. Now let's talk about fear. And why am I talking about fear? Because every time when we speak to our patients, when it comes to their emotions, their health, their emotional health, their mental health, everything finally comes down to human fear. Human fear is not a wasted emotion. It's a beautiful emotion. Fear is an emotion that stimulates us to move to action. I'm fearful about this car coming down the road. I'm about to cross the road. I'm fearful. Should I cross? Should I not cross? I have to take an action. So the emotion of fear is actually protective. It's warning me. Now, what action I take will decide my consequence. If I say, okay, let me just run across the road, or let me just step back and let the car pass. Any kind of fear. There's a fight between you and your partner. There's fear. What's he going to think? What's she going to think? It's an emotion that is a warning to you to take some action. The sad part is most people allow fear to consume them because they never take action. They never take action. And it is fear that makes them sicker and sicker, depresses the immune system, creates gut problems, which in turn depresses the immune system. You have a depressed immune system, you know that you can have any disease, any viral attack, any bacterial infection, any fungal infection, because your immune system is supposed to protect you. People are living in fear all the time. Some people live in situations of fear, but they accept it. When I was in Africa, many years ago, I had the privilege of talking to people who were victims of war, and they were still living with a lot of civil war happening around them. And when I asked them, how do you live with this fear? They say, oh, fear has now become normal because we've accepted it. If they continue to listen to fear, you wouldn't be able to live. Now, the point is, here's the exercise that I want all of you to do. You don't have to do it today, but it's the exercise that you're setting an intention for right now through the week. Because I can tell you right now, most people today are sad. Most people are depressed. Unless, of course, it's a chemical imbalance. There's a reason for that depression. Most people are scared and stuck in toxic relationships, toxic businesses, toxic workplaces because of fear. The exercise is very simple. It involves you to do some reflection and do the work. No one can take away your fear. Your psychologist, your psychiatrist, your partner, no one can take away your fear. You got to do that job. We're living in a world where we're taught that we can outsource all of our emotional responsibility to everyone. And that's why we're becoming emotionally weaker as a society. Look around you. Do you see strength and courage? Or do you see fear and weakness everywhere? Where there's war, where there's rape, where there's hatred and anger crimes. You don't see courage. You don't see strength. You see weakness. You see fear and insecurity. This is the test. This is the simple exercise that I want all of you to do. You need a journal. I highly, highly recommend each of you own a journal. Whether you practice gratitude in that journal, you practice reflection, you do exercises, that journal is your sacred space where you connect your mind and your heart through a pen or a pencil onto paper. It's a beautiful connection. You may say, I don't need a journal, Luke. I'm going to think in my mind. Can you stop all other 75 to 80,000 random thoughts to only think about what you want? It's impossible. It's impossible. And that's why we write. That's why we journal. So what's the exercise? Number one, you're going to write down your top 5 fears. Now you can look at, is there a fear at work? Is there a fear in your relationship with your family, with a family member? Fear in your marriage? Fear with your health? Whatever it is. Fear in society, like maybe social anxiety or fear of people talking badly about you. Is there a fear of not receiving validation or attention? Is there a fear of loneliness? Whatever your fear is, I want you to write down the top 5. Some of you may write 10. I don't have a problem with that. This exercise works on 1 to 10 to 50 fears. But let's start off with 5 right now. Once you've written your 5 fears down, okay, I want you to prioritize them. What does this mean? Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, it scares me a little bit. 10, I'm really, really scared. So 5, I'm scared. 7, I'm more scared or I'm more fearful. Below 5, it's okay. I think I can manage it. Now, why do I want you to rate this? So you can prioritize those 5 fears so you know which one is the driving fear in your life right now. These fears can change. They can change overnight. Someone may get, I hope not, may get diagnosed with a disease tomorrow that they didn't have today. And now that may become the first fear. So that's why these fears can be written in pencil, because they can constantly change. So once you've prioritized, maybe there's a fear in your relationship, you've given it a 4. Maybe there's a fear with your health, you've given it a 9. So it's right up at the top of the list. Okay? Once you've written down these fears, your next job is reflection and action. Remember what I told you. Fear is a beautiful, protective emotion as long as we take an action. If we don't take an action, the fear grows more and more into fear, into stories, into illusions, into perceptions, into things that may never, ever happen. May never, ever happen. Like I ask most people, what were your worst anxieties as you were growing up, in your 20s and your 30s? People will talk about it and I'll ask them, did any of it come true? And most people will be, none of it came true. None of it came true. But your anxiety was at the highest point of your life at that particular point. So coming back to it, you've prioritized now. Now you come into reflection. Okay? You have a fear. Okay, let's say I have a fear of a disease. And I'm going to use a hypothetical patient who says, Luke, I have cancer. Of course, I fear dying. I have 2 children at home. I have my parents to look after. I'm the breadwinner of the family. My biggest fear is my disease. All fears are valid fears. So we're not going to push this down. We're not going to use toxic positivity and say, oh, no, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. No, we want to accept it, that this disease is causing fear in my life. Now, what is this fear? Break it down. Reflection and break it down. The fear I will die. Why are you fearful of dying? Well, I have 2 children. I want to be a dad. I want to be a mom. Okay, I want to be able to earn money. There'll be a lack of money. How will my family be secure? Write down these fears. The fear of dying doesn't end at the fear of dying. Why are you fearful of dying? Everyone needs to know that. Otherwise, your fear of death will control your entire life. So you will write down your fear. Or I'm lonely. Okay, why are you fearful of being lonely? Because I won't have any friends. Okay, what happens if you don't have any friends? I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have anyone to share something with. So what happens if you don't have anyone to share with? I want you to keep asking yourself, so what, so what, so what? It's not a challenging way. It's a way to get you down to your actual truth about loneliness, your actual truth about the cancer, your actual truth about your mother-in-law issue, your father-in-law issue, your spouse issue. I want you to get down to the root cause. By now, everyone who's been following me knows that for me, it's the root cause of everything. There's a cancer, there's diabetes, there's a headache, whatever the treatment is, take it. But you need to address the root cause. We need to find the root cause so we can prevent it from happening again, possibly prevent it. We can work to make sure that root cause doesn't cause other problems in your life. So now this is the root cause part of the exercise. Okay? You're fearful that you're going to fail your exam. What's the worst thing that can happen if you fail your exam? Your parents are going to be angry. So why are you scared of your parents being angry? Because they'll shout at me? Write it down. They won't love me? Write it down. They'll think less of me? Write it down. I'll have shame, I'll have guilt. Write it down. Because only when you come down to the root cause will you actually find the strength and courage to eventually face your fears. So now let's see what you've reached this point. Okay? And let's now take a different example. Okay, let's take the same example. I have cancer. Okay. Written it down. Your fears are all valid. Yes, 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 yes. Now, what are the actions that I can take? Do I wake up every day fearing my disease and become a victim to it? Or do I know there are actions? My doctor's given me 5 actions. There'll be chemo, there'll be radiation, there'll be surgery, there may be hormonal treatment. Now, what are your other action points? Go back to the foundations. Your nutrition, your exercise, your sleep, your emotional wellness. You have action points. The more you focus on the action points, the fear of the disease will keep coming down. You go out and you hear 10 people talk about someone who died of cancer. Now your fear becomes more. But you come back to your action points because the only thing in control is the action you can take. No one will know the outcome of your disease. No one will know the outcome of your marriage. You don't know the outcome of your marriage. No one will know the outcome of how your kids are brought up, how your teenagers will behave, who does drugs, who doesn't do drugs. No one knows that. That's not in your control. But what is in our control are the action points that we can take. What are the action points that I can take to be a great parent and make sure that hopefully my kids stay on the right path? Instead of talking to 100 different parents and entangling yourself with their fears and growing your fear, you have an action list and you're just focusing on the actions. You're happy, focusing on the actions. You have faith and trust that, hey, this is all you can do. You have a problem in your relationship. What's the biggest fear? Oh, I don't want to upset the peace in the family. Write it down. It's valid. Now, why don't you want to accept the peace in the family by saying what you want to say? Write it down. Oh, I may not be loved anymore. Write it down. What's your fear of not being loved anymore? Write it down. That's the only thing I want. I want love. It's good. Write it down. Come down to that. Oh no, what may people think of me? I married into a rich family and I better just be quiet because I came from a poor family. And write down your fears of why you cannot be who you need to be, why you cannot express yourself. Oh, my husband is a very strong-headed person. So write down your fear. What's the worst thing that's going to happen if you express yourself? You're going to have a fight. He's going to hit you. He's going to walk out. Write it all down. Because I'll tell you one thing to end all of this. This is not just about you. Once you've written down your fear, ask yourself, why don't I do the things that I'm supposed to do? It comes down to because you don't want to hurt someone, even though that person's hurting you. You say, I want to keep the peace. Or you use religion, that, religion said be kind and be compassionate. But you've obviously not understood the essence of that statement in every religious verse. So you console yourself. But deep down, you need to understand today, no human being is perfect. Whether it's your mom, your dad, your spiritual leader, anyone. And by you being who you need to be and saying and expressing yourself respectfully, they have the right and the need to go through their journey of change. Everyone is going through a journey of change. You try to discipline your children because you want them to change. You want them to move from a bad behavior to a good behavior. The point is, we think we should not hurt other people. We think we should not say this because he's the CEO, because he's an actor, she's an actress. No, but they're human beings. Strip away the labels. Your husband, strip away the label. He's a human being like you, with the same emotions, the same rights. Strip away your wife's label. She's a woman, a human like you. And the point is, if what you need to tell them, or tell your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, whoever it is that's creating stress in your life, whatever it is that you need to tell them, it's their responsibility and their journey in life to take it. Whether they change or not is not your problem. But you have to be the person that expresses everything respectfully, in an emotionally stable manner. By keeping it inside doesn't make you a better person. That, oh, she's so kind, she never says anything to anyone. Oh, he's so calm, he never gets angry. But inside, there's anger, negativity, all the super ingredients for cancer and every possible disease. Suppressed and repressed emotions. It's easy for me to say these things, and that's why you have to do the exercise. Come down to the root cause. You want to tell your dad how he affected your life. You want to tell your mom. You want to tell that aunt. You want to tell that uncle who molested you. He may be 90 years old. And you'll say, but he's anyway going to die. But you're going to live with all of that problem. You still need to express it. It is their journey at 90 years old to go through it. Everyone has to go through everything in life. So by you not expressing yourself, thinking they're going to have a better life, by you not expressing yourself, is not enabling them, and it's not enabling you. Most people will say, but Luke, what's the point? They'll never change. It's not about them. It's about you. If you go into life expecting everyone to change, you're already miserable. You go into life being who you need to be, expressing yourself so that you can look after your physical and your emotional health. And that's how it works. What is the worst that can happen? If you want to skip these points of the exercise, simple. I'm afraid of loneliness. What is the worst thing that will happen if you find yourself in a lonely state in life? What is the worst thing that will happen if you get diagnosed with cancer? What is the worst thing that will happen if you lose your job? Write it down. You have to face that fear first in your mind. If you keep pushing it away, your fear is going to get bigger and bigger. Everyone knows they're going to die. You know you're going to die right now. I'm going to die. Everyone's going to die. Accept it in your mind. It just takes away the power from death. And it teaches us to live differently. Everyone can get a disease. But what's the action? Look after our health today. Value your health today. If you still get the disease, you got it. But it doesn't mean you stop taking the actions. So I want you to do this exercise. I want you to set your intentions for these little things next week. In fact, the only thing I'm going to talk about for a very long time is the foundations over and over and over and over again. And why? Because our most complicated cases finally get solved when we're able to align the patients and their fundamentals together. Then the human body and the mind works in harmony with each other, along with trillions of cells. And that is what the intelligence of the human body is termed as healing, recovery, growth, evolution. Have a great evening, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, breathe deep. And remember, you care is all about you.